62 million, the amount sent by Vorcaro for a film about Bolsonaro, is more than double the budget of O Agente Secreto. The film O Agente Secreto, which is a feature-length film, is a long movie, cost 28 million reais. What was planned for the Bolsonaro film was 134 million reais. Per the negotiations, Daniel Vorcaro would pay for that. And according to the information, he said he gave 62 million for the film. And the film's production company said they didn't receive anything. Where did the money go? This is the money laundering scheme for receiving bribes, in my opinion. And it's the money laundering scheme using Bolsonaro's film to launder money for the receipt and payment of bribes to Flávio and Eduardo Bolsonaro. There's no other explanation. No. If you have an explanation, let me know. Because Flávio Bolsonaro himself said yesterday that it was a lie. Intercept Brazil, before the scandal was made public, before the audio was released, Intercept Brazil asked Flávio Bolsonaro right in front of the Federal Supreme Court about this situation. Flávio laughed out loud and said it was a lie, that there was no money from Daniel Vorcaro in Bolsonaro's film. And he dodged the question and left. Then 2 hours later, the audio bombshell came out. Then at night, Flávio shows up and records a video. And he says, no, that actually he was asking, he wasn't asking, he was demanding, that he was asking Daniel Vorcaro for money, that there was even a contract. There was even a contract that he was asking Daniel Vorcaro for money to fund his father's movie. But he had said 2 or 3 hours earlier that it was a lie, that there wasn't any. Then when the audio bombshell came out, he said it was true, but that he was asking for the money for his father's movie production, poor thing. Then the production company comes out, makes an official statement, and says they didn't receive a single penny from Daniel Vorcaro. Where is the money? Where? That's the situation, my dear. Where did the money go? Let's see a few more statements, and I want you to answer me. I'll respond immediately. The money went into the pockets of Eduardo Bolsonaro and Flávio Bolsonaro. In my view, that's where it went. It was a scheme to use the movie as a pretext and a simulated contract, a fake contract for the payment of bribe. Since they have to launder the money, they present it as a pseudo investment in a movie. But it's a bribe payment with money laundering. That's obvious. It's obvious. I just want to see Andrea Gonçalves send Flávio Bolsonaro to jail. Will it happen? What do you think? I'll give you my opinion about that in a moment. Let's listen to the statement from our dear Randolph, the senator.
Flávio asked Daniel Vorcaro for 134 million reais to produce a movie with the intention of promoting his father. There is audio, there is all the evidence of this. 60 million reais were delivered. More than the budget of I'm Still Here and The Secret Agent. 2 national films that won international awards, including an Oscar, and that made all Brazilians proud. Ciro Nogueira, chief of staff in the Bolsonaro government, introduced an amendment to a bill that was moving through the Senate with the aim of benefiting Daniel Vorcaro and Banco Master. Flávio Bolsonaro's marketing strategist took part in the actions against the central bank when it was revoking Banco Master's accreditation. In addition, 3 million reais were donated from Banco Master to Jair Bolsonaro's campaign. And another 2 million reais to the campaigns of allies, the biggest financial scandal in history, which even involved public funds with full names attached. Today, Flávio Bolsonaro recorded a video saying that it is necessary to set up a congressional inquiry into Banco Master to separate criminals from innocent people. I ask you, Flávio, why didn't you call for it to be set up at the last session of the National Congress when we and President Lula's allied parties did? All right, we're raising the stakes. Let's have a parliamentary inquiry. Let's investigate, because in this scandal, we know who is responsible. And the facts that are coming to light today speak loud and clear. This scandal was conceived and born during the Bolsonaro administration. And it served Mr. Daniel Vorcaro to finance the family's businesses and the far right's businesses.
Yeah, my dear, the house is falling apart, and this is just the beginning. Just the beginning. I'm thinking about the panic, right? You need to watch Flavio now, okay? He's weak. You have to keep an eye on him. Otherwise, he'll, yeah, why? Because he knows what he did. And he didn't expect the federal police to have all this already underway. And now he knows, because Intercept Brazil leaked part of it. Now he knows he's in deep trouble, and that the federal police have him in their sights. He's in the sights of the federal police. And these people are dirty and cowardly. He keeps pulling stunts. He keeps pulling stunts. He keeps pulling stunts. Soon he'll run away and say he ran because he's being persecuted. Yeah, but there's nothing we can do. The evidence is tangible. It's overwhelming. You can't say the situation doesn't exist. You can't. Let's see another reaction here. The international reaction to all this. Look here. It was on Band News. Pay attention. Oops. The international press highlighted the conversation between Senator Flávio Bolsonaro and the banker Daniel Vorcaro, owner of Banco Master, with some possible setbacks in his pre-candidacy. The Argentine newspaper La Nación highlighted the crisis in a report titled, quote, revealed that Flávio Bolsonaro received millions from a banker arrested for fraud to produce a film about his father. And it questions his discourse on transparency, precisely when Lula is improving in the polls. La Nación also mentions the case of Senator Ciro Nogueira and wonders if this might not be just the tip of a bigger iceberg. The Argentine newspaper Clarim highlighted the amounts negotiated for the film and the political repercussions of the case. Associated Press, on the other hand, detailed the contradictions in the lawmakers' statements. Flávio Bolsonaro asked Daniel Vorcaro for money to finance the film, as you explained, about former President Jair Bolsonaro. The senator confirmed the request for funds for the production, but denied any wrongdoing. The Washington Post newspaper highlighted that Flávio Bolsonaro, quote, denies any wrongdoing after asking a banker for millions, end quote. The American newspaper says that Senator Bolsonaro has always told journalists in Brasilia that he had no connection with Vorcaro, and now the recordings have surfaced. The Reuters news agency highlighted the drop in financial markets in Brazil following the news of the audio message from Flávio Bolsonaro to Daniel Vorcaro, as well as the devaluation of the Brazilian currency. The Bloomberg agency took the same approach. Newspapers here in Europe are also highlighting the news, noting that Brazil is in a presidential election year. Everything is falling apart. Now, I want to talk to you about something you won't see on any other channel, no. Let me tell you something here. Here. Andre Mendonça, are you going to step down? Huh, Andre, what do you mean? How? Let me tell you. Eduardo Bolsonaro, he's already facing charges for coercion in the course of legal proceedings, because he tried to intimidate the federal Supreme Court, the justices of the federal Supreme Court, the office of the prosecutor general. He attacked the federal police, and that led to charges against him for coercion in the course of legal proceedings. Who is the justice assigned to the case? Alexandre de Moraes. And this case, in fact, is already in its final arguments. A deadline has been set for Eduardo Bolsonaro to present his final defense argument. He won't present it since he didn't hire a lawyer. The Federal Public Defender's Office will handle it. Who is the justice assigned to this case? Alexandre de Moraes. Alexandre Moraes. If it is established, pay attention to this, if it is established and proven by the federal police that for the crime of coercion during legal proceedings that he committed against the justices of the Supreme Federal Court, with Alexandre de Moraes as the justice assigned to the case. If it is proven that this union of the coup plot involving Flávio Bolsonaro and Eduardo Bolsonaro, taking money from Fabiano Zettel to do lobbying in the United States with American politicians, with money from Fabiano Zettel, it was to try to coerce the Supreme Federal Court justices. I ask you, who is the judge with prior jurisdiction? Andre, what kind of mess is this, for God's sake? In law, there is a rule: the judge who first gets the case involving that criminal plot, that judge is the judge with prior jurisdiction. It's the first judge who handled any situation involving that crime. This judge with prior jurisdiction, she will be the one competent to judge everything related to that situation. And I ask you again, who is the judge who first took the case in this matter? Who is the first judge who started this situation regarding the crime of coercion in the course of legal proceedings against the Federal Supreme Court? Who is this preventive judge? It's not Andre Mendonça. It's Alexandre de Moraes. Then you might say, Andre, but someone has to bring this up, right? Yeah. I don't believe Alexandre de Moraes is going to bring this up, because I actually think Alexandre de Moraes wants fewer problems. She's gonna cause him a lot of headaches, poor thing. A lot of trouble. As my grandmother said, a lot of trouble. But have you ever stopped to think, what if Andre Mendonça raises it? And say, hey, and can he do that, Andre? He can. Hey, wait, psst, hey. No, but we're talking here about Eduardo Bolsonaro's crime of coercion in the course of legal proceedings. I'm not the judge who first took the case. The judge who first took the case is Alexandre de Moraes. You want to know something? Alexandre de Moraes, here you go. The burden is yours. And pass everything to Alexandre de Moraes. Can that happen, Andrea Gonçalves? Yes, it can. That's why I say and repeat to you, won't Andre Mendonça step down? No. Because things are looking bad. And he will have to put the Bolsonaros in jail. And what do you think? I'm not going to lie. If I were Andre Mendonça, whether he likes it or not, he owes Bolsonaro a favor, because Andre Mendonça is only there in the Supreme Federal Court because Bolsonaro put him there. Otherwise, he would never be there. Never. I would declare that I'm not a judge with prior jurisdiction and say, Moraes, Flávio is yours. Eduardo Bolsonaro is being judged by you. It was the crime of coercion in the course of legal proceedings. And he used Daniel Vorcaro's money and the whole structure to commit the crime. So you are the judge with prior jurisdiction. First, you are the judge with prior jurisdiction. Take the case, it's yours. Could that happen, Andrea Gonçalves? Yes, and I wouldn't doubt it. Even Bolsonaro supporters have vanished. Where are the Bolsonaro supporters? Anyone looking for Bolsonaro supporters? Wanted, someone is looking for them right here. Eager to meet them along the way.
At 3 in the afternoon, they all disappeared, took off, ran away from here, left like rats. I don't know what happened. At 3 in the afternoon, they disappeared. Yesterday, I stayed there until 8 at night. I went to the podium where they usually act tough, beat their chests, call Lula a thief, say that he is. They're the fathers of ethics and morals. I searched everything there, found a bunch of stuff, found a national team jersey, found a bottle of detergent, found all sorts of things. I found IP detergent. I even found a pacifier dropped there. Someone who ran out must have left that pacifier there. I also found a pill thrown on the floor. I assume it's a chloroquine pill. The only thing I didn't find was a Bolsonaro supporter. I found everything there except a Bolsonaro supporter, starting from yesterday, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They all disappeared. They left.
Where are they? Where are the Bolsonaro supporters? Gunshots, fighting, and bombs. A good criminal is a dead criminal. I've already seen a statement from Nicolas. He didn't make a little video then, not with a black background. He just wrote something, right? Saying that everyone deserves, right? Due process of law, innocent until proven guilty. But I don't get it here. A good criminal isn't a dead criminal. Gunshots, fighting, and bombs, blah. Now they're looking for human rights, right? Innocent until proven guilty, Nicolas. Nicolas, you're not out of this. No, Nicolas, because Nicolas, let me tell you something. You'll have to excuse me, but I don't believe that you're not involved. No, I believe that you are involved in this criminal organization. I don't buy that you flew 10 times on Daniel Vorcaro's private jet and you're not like this close. And soon even you will get caught up in this, right? Yeah. I don't doubt it, not even a little bit. On the contrary, I actually believe that Nicolas Ferreira is involved too. How does Nicolas Ferreira take 10 trips on a private jet worth more than 200 million reais? Look, what is this, guys? You don't even ride someone's bicycle if you're not friends with them. Not even on a camel like my grandma used to say. Imagine riding on a 200 million real private jet if you're not. Look, that close with the person. Ah, Nicolas, you must be desperate, right? Wondering what Intercept is going to reveal next, because there will be a next one and it won't take long. Talk to me, my dear. So,
Magda?
The audio is no longer just alleged because Flávio Bolsonaro admitted he was the author and said he did send that audio to Vorcaro. On November 16, 2025, the day before Vorcaro's arrest at the
Operation Compliance Zero.
It's good to remember that Banco Master, right, of course, through Zetel, who is Vorcaro's brother-in-law, but was also the financial operator of Banco Master. It was the biggest financier of Jair Bolsonaro's campaign, 3 million reais and another 2 million reais for Tarcísio de Freitas. So we have the link closing in, right, in a situation that's pretty hard to explain. On top of everything, this movie, Dark Horse, The Underdog, The Nag, I don't know what its name will be in Portuguese. It's already a movie that stirs up a lot of controversy to the extent that the São Paulo City Hall supposedly made public money, 100 million reais, available to a production company that is the same company behind this movie. And according to information, Vorcaro had already paid 61 million reais for the movie with a total amount of 134 million. More than 130 employees of the movie were paid through Vorcaro. And the big question remains, what was Vorcaro's interest in giving 134 million to Jair Bolsonaro's movie?
You'll need plenty of
Ipiatu.
Get drunk and forget about today. It's a tough day for the Bolsonaro supporters. They've been doing mental gymnastics here, and of course now they're siding with the leftists.
They're siding with the communists, socialists, PT, and Lula, but avoid addressing whether the relationship between Flávio Bolsonaro and Vorcaro is appropriate. It was said not here, but he sent an audio the day before the arrest, but the day before the arrest, all of Brazil already knew it was Vorcaro. All of Brazil knew about the Banco Master scandal. All of Brazil knew that Reg laundered money for the PCC and was the fintech arm of Banco Master. In other words, those funds were probably PCC money put into Bolsonaro's movie. Or maybe not. Maybe there's no connection. What about the state of Rio de Janeiro pension fund under Claudio Castro, which the TCE? The Court of Auditors said that the government of the state of Rio de Janeiro shouldn't put money there. And then isn't that public money being used in a, let's say, improper way? And then the connections between Flávio Bolsonaro and Tessa Joias from the Red Command, and the connections between Flávio Bolsonaro and Rodrigo Bacella from the Red Command, and the links between Flávio Bolsonaro and Gutenberg Fonseca from the Red Command. We also forgot his ties to Adrião da Nóbrega, a murderer from Rio de Janeiro. Just more information, right? Another detail in Flávio Bolsonaro's trajectory, who is implicated in several corruption scandals. But of course, there's no connection at all. And they are the upright, honest people of Brazil.
Look, for me, there's no longer any doubt about the involvement of the Bolsonaro family, especially Eduardo Bolsonaro and Flávio Bolsonaro, with Daniel Volcar's mafia, especially if you read today's decision by Andre Mendonça ordered the arrest of 7 people and several precautionary measures against others, notably a federal police chief and federal police officers, where the federal police discovered an investigative branch in which Daniel Volcar involved with the Jogo do Bicho in Rio de Janeiro and with the militia in Rio de Janeiro ended up. If you had any doubt that Flávio Bolsonaro is, as he himself said, a close friend of Vorcaro, with this new line of investigation, which the police are already actively pursuing, involving militia and organized crime. And the Jogo do Bicho racket in Rio de Janeiro, that's it, there's no more doubt. And when the police are still investigating whether this money went to the United States to support Eduardo Bolsonaro in attacking our sovereignty with all those tariff issues, the application of the Magnitsky Act, trying to bring down Alexandre de Moraes, the federal Supreme Court, and so on. And all of that was financed by this money in the United States. That's it. It's just a matter of time. Flávio Bolsonaro is going to jail. If he doesn't run away, actually, I think they can already put an ankle monitor on him. Otherwise, soon he'll run away and say he's being persecuted by the dictatorship of the federal Supreme Court. But it's going to be hard for him to say that because Andre Mendonça became a dictator too, because now it's not Alexandre de Moraes, it's Andre Mendonça. How is this going to play out? And I understand that Intercept Brazil only released it bit by bit, just bit by bit. They might have more materials and will release them gradually. This will bring huge political damage to the far right and to the right who covered up for the Bolsonaro family. And it's necessary. We are in an election year. We can't let a criminal, a militia member, a crook, a scoundrel take over the presidency of the republic. That's why it's very likely that Lula will score his 4th win in the first round. People are already trying to take Flavio's place, right? Romeo Zema went there and said it's unacceptable and unforgivable. Flávio Bolsonaro asking Vorcaro for money is unforgivable to Eduardo. Eduardo Bolsonaro went there and said, but did you get $1 million from Daniel Vorcaro? It's the right wing bringing itself down. It's the far right hitting the right, and I think it's not enough. And now, Caiado said that the right needs to unite now. Because of course he wants to be and take Flávio Bolsonaro's place. Because Flávio Bolsonaro soon will be out, soon he'll be in jail, he'll be wearing an ankle monitor. And that's the situation. Ronaldo Caiado said that the right needs to unite now at this moment. Now you want to stand up for the right when you covered up for Flávio Bolsonaro. Too late. Lula will score his 4th win in the first round. Thanks to the lousy right wing that licks the boots of the extremist, coup-plotting, criminal, and corrupt far right, you will reap what you have sown. Servility, scheming, omission, bootlickers of coup plotters. You on the right will be the biggest losers. It won't even be the far right, because the far right, that's exactly how it ends for them. It's jail now. You on the right will be the big losers. As long as you cover up for criminals, you'll be like the criminals. As long as you cover up for coup plotters, you'll be like the coup plotters. And what do I think? I think it's not enough. And soon we'll bring the next bombshell and the new revelation of this Mexican and tragic soap opera for the Bolsonaro supporters. Everything is collapsing and everyone's going down. Look, here's Romeo Zema. Let's see, Tico. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The rats are trying to abandon the ship. There's no way anymore. Everything's messed up.
Flávio Bolsonaro, hearing you asking Grandpa Vorcaro for money is unforgivable. It's a slap in the face to Brazilians.
Who see a million scandal for the new party for Zima's campaign. It was a donation from Henrique Vorcaro, father of Daniel Vorcaro from Banco Mafio. That's a slap in the face to Brazilians, hey? That's it. The far-right people keep slapping the Brazilian people in the face. Meanwhile, President Lula's government is working to improve the lives of our people. We're together, always in the fight.
Flávio Bolsonaro, did you ask for money?
And now, it's the pot calling the kettle black. I just don't know who. No, I know who's dirtier. No, there's no way, guys. We already know who's the dirtiest, and it always has been. Who? Flávio. There's no way around it. Everyone knows Flávio. And there are still scandals to come out from the hospitals in Rio de Janeiro. Yeah. Lindenberg Farias just posted an interesting video now. He just posted it. Pay attention here. Bolsonaro is a compulsive liar.
On March 16th, Monica Bergamo reported that Vorcaro had Flávio Bolsonaro's phone number. Do you know what he answered? A lot of people have my phone number. I've never had any contact with Daniel Vorcaro. That's what he says. And yesterday at noon, during a visit to the Supreme Federal Court, he again denied any connection with Vorcaro. Take a look.
Senator?
Why was your father's movie funded by Vorcaro?
I don't know.
It's just that we're doing one.
Paraguay walk. What a voice. This Flávio Bolsonaro is a brute. The Paraguayan won't go far. Flávio Bolsonaro is a liar, contestable. On March 16th, it will be published by Monica Bergamo.
I don't know, but who will be next? In your opinion, who will be next? We already have Senator Ciro Nogueira, a Bolsonaro supporter who was Bolsonaro's chief of staff. And we have Flávio Bolsonaro. We don't need to say anything else. Who will be next? Outside Brazil, we already know it's going to be Eduardo Bolsonaro. Here in Brazil, who will be next? For you, no. No, Nicolas. He flew 10 times on Daniel Vorcaro's private jet and had his contacts saved in Vorcaro's phone. It could be Nicolas. I don't doubt it, but I think there will still be more things coming out about Flávio Bolsonaro himself. I believe this isn't over yet. Everything I just told you showed you such and such came from here, see? From today's 59-page decision by Minister Andre Mendonça, establishing 7 arrests and various measures and seizures. Very detailed for each person with an account of what they did and didn't do. Everything is here and where. Among the 7 arrested was Daniel Vorcaro's father, Henrique Vorcaro, because he took Daniel Vorcaro's place. He took the place of the hitman who died in the federal police headquarters inside the cell and took the place of Roteno, the federal police officer who was arrested. So he was serving as a stand-in in the whole Vorcaro mafia situation, in addition to very possibly hiding money. That's why Daniel Vorcaro's father, Henrique Vorcaro, was arrested there along with others. Notably, there was a group of hackers, as I explained. Now everything is out in the open for you, and let's wait and see what happens next. What do we want? Justice, and whoever is involved in this situation should be held accountable. And it's good that the truth is coming to light, because only someone as much of a criminal as him will be fooled by the Bolsonaro family again and by Flávio Bolsonaro. Otherwise, you won't be fooled. Otherwise, my dear, only someone who is the same, who is similar, would cover up a situation like this, put Flávio Bolsonaro in there. Go to jail, and Lula, 4-time winner in the first round. Hit the like button. It's really important. Share the live. Take a look at the first comment. 4:30 p.m. There's a special highlight for you. Kisses. See you at the next live. Take care. Bye-bye.